Alright, so today we got Easy Flash Definitive Edition, which is actually for the Game Boy Advance. Um, been through this a little bit already. It was actually so far liked it. I had a couple of issues. It comes with the standard cart, that is my SD card I already threw in there, their USB reader, and their quick folded set of instructions. Just their basics of cards up to 32 gigs, NES, uh, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color, and that's all done through emulation. But haven't tried out actually any of the NES or Game Boy emulation pieces, Game Boy or Game Boy Color emulation pieces of it. Literally just gone the card itself. Um, It does have a battery inside of it, but the battery has nothing to do with saving. It is actually just there to store the clock. It has non-volatile flash memory, so you actually don't need the battery for any of the saves, so you don't have to worry about, battery dying and losing progress in, typical battery save style games. It does support cheat menu, which I really haven't used at all, and it has options for actually displaying the cart images on it. One thing I like about it is it has an A/B selector switch on the side, so you can actually load games into the secondary, I think it's the NOR flash on this, and if you have it on B, it'll operate as a standalone cartridge without actually booting up into the Easy Flash menu. Or if you have inside of a Game Boy DS, you set it up as a link, have that on here, and be able to do, some save transfers. I know there's a couple of Pokemon games that are on the DS and that work on the DS and the DS Lite because they have the slots in them. So you can do that, support the DS to GBA transfer, so you can do that with it. There's also a setting to set that to have this operate as a rumble pack or as expansion RAM. So that's kind of nice with it. It's got a sleep feature. I've had that work for me a couple of times and also had it not wake up out of it a couple of times. So kind of the sleep feature was hit or miss. The same thing with the trying to get the menu to pop up. Haven't had a whole lot of success with that working consistently. It might just be the two Game Boy Advances I tried it on, but that's worked out great. The entire Game Boy Advance library fits, I think, on like a 7 or an 8 gig card. And I have a 32 gig card in here. The one thing I did run into is if you're not paying attention and you go to shove that in there, you actually can push it all the way in above where the card slot is. That is the one major issue I've run into with this. And it's real easy because if you're just pushing it in, you think it goes in and you keep sliding, it's still above the cart. And I'm not trying to force that up there. You actually have to make sure you're pushing up on the bottom to get it tilted down and to go in. It does have the Sorry, my screen's a little scratched up. Same menu as the other one. Another thing I ran into on this was I had, I think, 911 games listed on here, but it would actually only display the first 531. So I'd only have 531 on the menu, and if I deleted one, then the next one would show up. So what I did to fix that problem was I put all of the games in there into selective folders. That way, if I wanted to play something, go through and do it that way. But right and left triggers up top, you have your save states, date and time, That's a little hard to read. Add on your language, fast pass engine. Sleep key is left, right, and select. You can change how those work. Same thing with the menu key, left, right, and start. Haven't had the menu work for me yet. And then games with real-time clocks. The settings for that down on the bottom. You can turn that on and off. The save state, you can set to auto mode B. That's what I was talking about. You can either have a Rumble, RAM, or Link. If you leave it on Link, you load a game into the NOR flash. It'll just boot straight into that game, whatever the first one is in that list. Or if you're using, like I said, the DS, the games that support the DS to GBA transfer, you can leave it like that, chuck it into the DS and use it as a transfer. And there's a little LED on the back here. It's a little RGB LED, and I turn it off. I don't really see a huge point to it, but you can have it on breathing, or if it's actually reading the card, you can set it to that, but just so you can kind of see, that's all it really does is flash. So for me, I personally don't care about that. And then the last menu for options, thumbnail toggles, recently played playlist, a multi-boot, and the delete file options, and the firmware up top. For updating the firmware on this, you have to download the firmware file, put it on the root of the SD card, hold down the right trigger while you power it on, and continue holding it down until it just starts the firmware update. So it's actually a little bit easier than the last one, the Junior. This is the definitive edition, that's why it has the extra options. But with the start, there's our, recently played. Go through, select those. Just do King of Swing. That's the menu. I know it's a little hard to read, but the top is clean boot, then it's boot with add-on. That's like if you have cheats and stuff turned on, you can either clean boot it without those or boot with the add-ons. Right to NOR clean or right to the NOR flash with the add-ons on. Save type is on auto. And if there are sheets available for the game and you hit that, have that right there of just banana, life, specifically for those games. And it'll tell you in the upper right corner on how many that there are for it. We'll back out of that. Let's go down to these. We'll just go here. We'll hit the select button, and you can kind of see the cover art down in the bottom corner right there for what the games are. So far, yeah, my only issues I've had, like I said, with this has been the SD card. The Rumble works, the Link works, the additional RAM works on it. It was just the issue of it topping out in the main screen as a 531. So dropping stuff into folders to get that fixed, and then just finding stuff based off of what folder it's in. And yeah, the issue with the SD card when you're pushing that in, of just watch it when you're pushing it in, because if you just, the Junior, you can just slam the thing in and it works just fine. This one, it's real easy to push over the top of that and can actually fall into the cart, and then you need never really paid attention. Okay, it's just a standard Phillips on the back, so honestly, if you push it in there, you don't need a special screwdriver to get it back out, but it is a little annoying if that happens. But that's kind of my review of the Easy Flash Definitive Edition. It's a little pricey for what you get, but compared to a lot of the other things, I mean, it's right on par. It's easy. I like the fact that the battery on this is only for the clock, nothing to do with your saves. Like I said, if that battery ever dies and it just slides in, it's not permanently soldered or anything. It's easy to change out. But if it ever dies, you're not losing your saves and your games you've spent a ton of time on, and then going, oh crap, the internal battery died. What do I do? But anyways, thanks for stopping in, and have a good night.